Hey guys, welcome to the Sweet Fire Soul Revival YouTube channel. My name is Joe, if we've never met before, and if we have, welcome back. So, this is our very first free training, and I'm really freaking excited about it. So, what I want to talk to you about today is shadow work, ego, subconscious. So here's the thing. We demonize that shit constantly. We're like, oh, my inner demons, or oh, ego is always trying to keep me small. Ego is doing this to me. My shadow is doing that to me. Blah, blah, blah. So here's the thing. You're not going to want to commit to begin a shadow work practice if you're constantly looking at those things from this negative perspective. You're going to do whatever it takes to avoid that shit at a subconscious level, because your subconscious is always trying to protect you. Your subconscious is like, oh, well, if that's what we believe, then we need to stay far away from that, because no, that's not good for us then, right? And so when we see our ego, shadow, subconscious as something that is trying to hurt us or trying to hinder us, we're really doing ourselves a disservice, because that's not at all what's happening. Our ego, our shadow, our subconscious, it's all part of us. It's all things that it's really all the same thing, honestly. Our shadow, our ego, lives in our subconscious. It is part of us whether we like it or not. And so I hear a lot of people, and I have a lot of people ask me, like, well, how do I get rid of my shadow? How do I overcome my ego? How do I blah, blah, blah? You don't do either one of those things. You integrate those things. You heal those things. You accept those things. And then you change the subconscious programming you have around those things. It's not about getting rid of either one of them, because it's impossible to do that. Like, they are part of you. So there's no way to get rid of them. So here's the thing. Your subconscious mind is running the show 99.6% of the time. And so it's always going to be running the same programs, doing the same things to protect you. That's like, we are creatures of habit, right? We have routines. We do the same things over and over. We eat the same things. We go to the same places. We have the same types of friends and relationships and whatever, right? Because that's what is comfortable for us. So when we attempt to break out of our comfort zone in any way, it's uncomfortable. Our subconscious is like, whoa, we've never done that before. That's weird. That's new. What's happening? I don't know what the outcome is going to be. I need to keep you safe. So we are going to avoid this at all costs, right? And so your subconscious doesn't actually know the difference between danger and the literal form of danger, as in you're going to be attacked, or danger as in fear of the unknown. It's all the same chemical reaction across the board. Like, same thing. Just like your brain doesn't know the difference between something that you are imagining and something that's happening right now in the moment. Can't tell the difference. So when we say things like, oh, ego is there to keep you small, ego is there to hold you back, we have to stop demonizing that shit. We have to stop treating it like it's trying to hurt us. Because the reality is that those things are there doing their job. They're trying to keep you safe. That's all it is. And so when we can see it from that perspective of, oh, my ego is coming up right now and it's telling me all these things, it's just doing its job. It's just keeping me safe. And that's cool. But I get to choose now whether I listen to it or whether I don't. And then you move from there. But to stand there in this energy of, oh my God, well, I guess I can't do it. I guess I shouldn't do it because, my ego is coming up. I have all this shadow bullshit, blah, 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 making excuses for why you should or shouldn't do something. Really just remember that it's always up to you to consciously make a choice. But also, if there is something that is constantly triggering you, and this was something that used to really fucking irritate me. When trigger warnings were really big on Instagram, people would post and they'd be like, trigger warning, whatever. Here's the thing. It's not my responsibility to warn you about something I'm going to say and how it may trigger you. Just like it's not your responsibility to warn everybody before you say something and how it might trigger them. That's not the point. If someone is triggered, if you're triggered, if I'm triggered, it's not up to me or up to you to be like, oh my God, how could you? You should have warned me. No. We're coddling ourselves at that point. And look, you're not a child. I'm not a child. Let's be real. If you have hurt feelings, if you are triggered by something, that shit is on you, not on somebody else. And here's why I say that. Because that trigger is there for a reason. That trigger is there to say, hey, hello, we are ready to heal our shit. This thing that we're so upset about is something we actually need to work on healing now. So let's get to it. And that's why it's there. That is your subconscious mind's way of saying it's time to heal. We're ready. We have all the tools we need. Let's get to fucking work. But you, on a conscious level, are like, oh my God, my feelings are hurt. Or, oh my God, that's really painful. Now I'm going to get angry. Now I'm going to have this emotional reaction towards it. And that's fine. However, take it one step further. Hold yourself accountable for your own emotional reactions, right? That's what we got to do. Because that is how we heal. It's not the responsibility of everybody else to be PC or say the things that we want to hear. That's just not how things work. It's up to us to really look at, okay, that makes me angry, or that makes me sad, or that upsets me in whatever way. This triggers me. And then for us to process that, for us to take it upon ourselves, to take up accountability and personal responsibility for what's happening on our internal playing field. For us to say, that's really weird. Why do I feel triggered by that? Why do I feel hurt by that? Why do I feel upset by that? Why does that make me angry? And uncover that shit. Because here's what we're doing when we don't do that. When we don't do that, we blame other people for saying this or blame other people for whatever. What we're doing is bypassing the work we need to do and playing it off as, it's your fault that I feel whatever. No. It's actually your fault that you feel whatever. And I don't usually like to say fault because that's not really true. It's not really accurate. It's not necessarily a matter of fault, because when we hear that word, we're resistant. It's negative to us. We hear fault and we're like, whoa, no. No. And we often equate fault with responsibility, and that's not really where we want to go, right? Because here's the thing. We have to be accountable for us. It's really the only thing we are ever in control of, right? So when ego shows up, when shadow shows up, when we are triggered, it's up to us to take accountability for that. It's up to us to say, okay, hold on a minute. What is this saying about me that I am feeling this right now? What things do I need to learn from this experience right now? What things do I need to work out from what I am feeling right in this moment, rather than having that emotional reaction and getting upset, getting angry? And I'm not saying don't feel your feelings, but what I am saying is take a moment to respond rather than constantly reacting to outside stimulus, right? Rather than getting upset, rather than going off, rather than getting angry or whatever it is, turn that around and ask yourself, what am I supposed to be learning from this? What am I supposed to be saying? Thank you, subconscious, for letting me know that I am fucking ready to heal this. And then it's up to us to really dig in and figure it out. What am I supposed to be healing? What am I supposed to be learning from this? How does this make me feel? Why does it make me feel that way? We have to get honest with ourselves, because the more that we demonize these things, the more that we say, well, I just choose to be the bystander of my life and I choose to blame other people for how I feel, how I think, what I do, the less your subconscious mind is actually going to see you as the authority, and it's always going to be looking outside of you for information, for answers, for the rules. And then it's a question of, is your life then really yours? Right? And we're not here on this earth to live out other people's lives. We're here to live out our own personal experience, right? And so in doing that, it also means that it's time to accept. It's time to say, okay, so my ego shows up for me in these ways. So my shadow shows up for me in these ways. And these are all things that I need to be looking at on a personal level, taking accountability and saying, okay, hold on a minute. Why do I feel like that? Is this feeling the truth? Is this thought the truth? And a lot of our problem is that most of the time we make our thoughts and feelings our identity. We're like, that thought is me. That feeling is me. And that's not actually true. Our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, they're not our identity. And that's another story for another time. So we'll do another free training on that. But we have to be able to separate ourselves from our actions, from our thoughts, from our feelings, and recognize when I feel positive, when I feel negative, really those things are just labels. Those are things I have learned are my feelings. If I'm happy, if I feel sad, if I feel apathetic, whatever, this is actually just a label that I learned to place on this particular feeling. But I don't actually know if that's really what I'm feeling, because it's just a label that I put on there, that I learned to put on these feelings, right? Just like our thoughts, just because you think it doesn't make it the truth. Across the board, right? But whatever you believe is what your subconscious mind takes as the truth. So really, you can program yourself to believe anything that you want. And again, another story for another time, but knowing this, oh, these things are not out to get me, these things are not out to hurt me, these things are here to tell me how I can heal, what I'm supposed to learn, and how I can change for the better, right? So that's how I always look at it. That's how I teach my clients to look at things, because really, if we're always looking at things from one-sided perspectives, we really aren't looking at the whole thing. We're only seeing it from our lens of, this thing was bad, this thing was good. Like, take a moment to step back and be the observer. What am I supposed to learn from this? What is it supposed to be teaching me? How can I heal from this experience? Right? We have to take it one step further beyond our emotional reaction to whatever it is that's going on. Right? Because if we don't, then we're constantly always in this cycle of react, and we don't actually progress. We're just constantly in a cycle of reaction. And so if you're constantly in a cycle of reaction, what is it that you're actually doing? How are you progressing? How are you moving forward? What are you accomplishing? Like, this is part of why so many people are still living in the same cycles, why so many of us are still doing the same things, because we never stop to take that moment and ask ourselves, like, why am I doing this? Why am I feeling like this? What is this supposed to be teaching me? What am I supposed to be learning from this? How come this keeps happening to me? And that last question is something that I hear all the time. Why does this happen to me? Why does this keep happening to me? And 99% of the time that people say that to me, they're asking in, a rhetorical way. They're kind of like lamenting, and it's sort of a woe is me type of thing. And that's not getting you anywhere. It's not. You have to be honest and answer that question. You have to say, well, hold on a minute. Why do I keep living in the same cycles? Why do I keep attracting the same type of people, the same type of relationships, the same type of jobs, the same income? Right? And here's the thing. When we ask that question as a rhetorical thing, or just like, why does this keep happening to me? And we're in this pity party energy. We don't really answer the question. We don't really want the answer to the question. We just want to feel sorry for ourselves, or we just want to bond with our friends, our partners, or our family, or whomever over, all of these bad things that are happening to us. So what can you do instead? You can say, oh, hold on a minute. I feel really triggered, or I feel bad emotionally. I feel in a negative way. Instead of reacting to that, what can I do now? Well, first of all, I can take a step back from the situation and realize that I don't actually have to. It is not required. It is not a rule for me to react. Can walk away. I can say nothing. I can say that's interesting. What an interesting perspective. Thanks for chiming in. For me, when people, come on and want to troll, I always just say interesting perspective, because that, I've literally never had anybody respond to that. So here's the thing. When we can take that step back and just be the observer, just take a step back and say, I don't have to react to this. I can move on. I can walk away, whatever. Then we're taking control back over ourselves. Then we're taking control back. Then our subconscious is essentially like, oh, we are the authority. And then we stop actively seeking outside sources to tell us what to do, how to think, what to think, how to feel, whatever. Okay, so when you own these things, when you accept, and when I say accept, what I mean is when you say, okay, this is something that's happening. This is something that I feel. This is something that I do. This is something that I think. But why? Why is that something that I do, say, feel, think? And when you trace back to the root of why, how this all started, chances are you're going to notice it goes way back to your childhood, right? And there's a reason for that. Our subconscious mind is formed between the ages of 0 and 7. And so if our shadow, our ego, lives in our subconscious, that's where it all started. So your subconscious mind is never going to make you a liar. So if you feel like you're on subconscious programming that's causing you to act certain ways, feel certain ways, say certain things, believe, think, etc., certain things, then that's always what you're going to be doing. But in order to get to the root of that, you have to go back. You have to be honest. You have to remember, when did this start? I mean, you have to ask yourselves the questions. How did this start? When did this start? Why do I feel like I need to do this, right? Why do I feel like I need to act in this way, react in this way, feel this way, think this way, do these things? Because when we get back to that, that's when we really begin to integrate, accept, realize that these are bits of our inner child that are like, hey, we need some love and attention and healing over here. Like, it is past time for you to pay attention to like what's going on. And the thing is that our subconscious mind will suppress things, repress things that we are not capable of processing, dealing with, handling in that moment, which more often than not, right, is when we're kids. So when we're kids and these traumatic things happen and we're not fully there, we're not fully ready to deal with that trauma, our subconscious mind represses it until we are ready. And so then it starts to feel like our subconscious, our shadow, our ego, whatever, is doing things to us. Like, oh, like this is so inopportune, this is so inconvenient that now I'm remembering this, now I'm feeling this, now I'm thinking about this. But it's just your subconscious's way of saying, like, hey, we're ready, it's time, let's heal this, let's deal with it, let's look at it, because we have the tools now, right? We're more than capable. But the only way that it knows how to do that is when it is triggered by something that's happening, right? So, like, let's say you're afraid of public speaking and you like have to go give a speech in front of a small group of people or whatever, and like, you know, you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm remembering all these times from, you know, before, and like this traumatic thing happened and that traumatic thing happened, like, and it all kind of excuse me, and it all kind of revolves around like standing in front of people and like, oh my gosh, like now I feel even more nervous, blah, 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 right? So you're kind of like in this moment of anxiety because you're remembering all these past things. It's not because your subconscious is like, haha. It's because it's like, oh, we are in a similar situation from when this started. And like, let's say like we were made fun of or we were teased about something. Like, it's ready to heal that. And so now it's like, oh, we're doing the same thing. We're in the same situation. And so now I need to remind you that these are the things that we need to heal, but it's not doing it on purpose. It's not doing it in this way of like trying to sabotage you. It's just trying to get you to recognize what is ready to be healed. So now it's up to you to say, okay, I'm gonna take control of myself, gonna take back my own power, gonna take back my own accountability and dig into this and see what it is that's going on for me, because this is all just a healing process. And that's all, right? Like, we don't need to demonize these things. We don't need to feel negatively about these things, because all that is happening is the reminders, as little triggers, as little nudges that we still have work to do. And so the more we bypass the work, the harder it seems to feel when we go to do them, you know, when we go to really look at those things. And the more we avoid that, you know, the more it seems to pile up that we're getting all these reminders that there's things we need to heal. So don't look at it from this place of like, oh my gosh, no, like I can't integrate, incorporate, love, accept, you know, honor, understand my shadow or my ego, because those are bad things. No, they are very, very good things that are just trying to help you, that are just doing their job, right? So now, if you can see it from that perspective, when those things arise of, oh my gosh, thank you so much for the reminder. I didn't realize that I needed to work on that still, or I didn't acknowledge that before. I didn't know that this was still a thing for me. Now I know what I have to do. When you can see it from that perspective, doesn't it feel so much better? Doesn't it feel a little lighter and so much easier then to want to take the time for yourself, to take the time to heal yourself? Just saying. All right, guys, I love you. I'll see you next week. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, you can leave me comments. If you have questions, you can email me. You can send me a DM over on Instagram, or however it is that you normally reach out to me. I will talk to you soon. Bye.